Avengers Endgame is now out on Blu-ray, and this is a video that I've been sitting on doing because I wanted to wait until I had the appropriate footage. But a lot of people have been debating about Avengers Endgame, and the finale gives to certain characters. Avengers Endgame is not the ending of the MCU as a whole, but it is the ending to a lot of the original Avengers. There are some, like Thor, who are going to be sticking around for just a little bit longer, and I'm pretty sure Mark Ruffalo's contract is not up at Marvel. But for Chris Evans and Robert Downey Jr., this movie was their swan song. And what a note to go out on. Iron Man's ending has been agreed to be the best possible ending that he could have gotten, but there was one ending that was very divisive. Captain America's ending. Let me start off by saying that Captain America is my favorite Avenger. He has been ever since the first Avenger. His arc is perfect in the original film. He's a scrawny, scruffy young kid who was deemed unfit to serve in World War II. But what he lacks in strength, he makes up for in heart. That's what Dr. Erskine sees in him, and why he wants him to be the product of the super soldier serum. The whole point of Steve Rogers is that at his core, no matter what happens, he is a good man, whether he's weak or strong. We see him at his darkest hour where no one will respect him, but he climbs out of it and proves that he's worthy of his title.
Let's hear it for Captain America!
He's also given some depth with his relationships with Bucky and Peggy. Bucky is a little older than how he was depicted in the comics. Basically, you get the sense that Steve is awkward around women. In fact, this scene may very well be his first kiss. The ending of the film is tragic because he can't give Peggy the dance that he promised her. Personally, for storyline purposes, I think this movie should have been the first MCU movie, but Ike Perlmutter wanted to start Iron Man because he thought that would sell the most toys. Or so I've heard. I am so glad that Marvel movies are not being made under his thumb anymore. But the end of the movie goes to set up how Cap is now a man out of his time, and a promise that he couldn't fulfill.
I had a date.
Avengers sets up more of how he feels out of his place in time, but he keeps his compassion, such as when learning that Bruce Banner is the Hulk, he doesn't care about his monster form.
Is that the only word on me?
Only word I care about.
But it's important because this is where Tony and Steve meet, thus setting out their dynamic.
Big man in a suit of armor. Take that off, what are you?
You see, Steve claims that Tony wouldn't be the one to make the sacrifice play,
while Tony thinks that Steve is too uptight and has inferiority issues with his own father. There was a deleted scene that shows Cap trying to socialize in modern times, but at the end he finds new purpose in becoming the leader of the Avengers. Winter Soldier explores more of Cap trying to deal with how the world's changed since he's been frozen, trying to catch up on pop cultural trends. But he's still tied to the past because he visits the very old Peggy, who sadly can't always remember him. Cap has to deal with the fact that many of his old friends have grown old and died while he has lived on. His morals are also challenged by what S.H.I.E.L.D. is doing.
This isn't freedom. This is fear.
The world has changed, but Captain America has not. And you know what? That's fine. Finding out that Bucky is alive, Cap finds his one last link to his past. But he forms new friendships with Natasha and Sam. So once again he's caught between the past and the present day. Age of Ultron mainly serves to set up the sows of his rift with Tony. The scene at the farm showcasing that specifically.
Every time someone tries to win a war before it starts, innocent people die.
But really, you get the sense is that while Tony seems to be trying to retire and live a normal life with Pepper, Cap, on the other hand, has accepted that that day may never come for him.
I don't know. Family, stability. Guy who wanted all that went in the ice 75 years ago.
But Tony shows that he does genuinely want Cap to get his own happy ending. Civil War sees the fall of the Avengers as, once again, Cap and Iron Man's differing views clash. The highlight of the film is the emotional impact where Captain America and Iron Man fight at the end. Now Cap finds himself between two friends, his friend of the past and his friend of the present. Once again finding himself in between two time periods. With Peggy's death, Bucky's the last link he has to his former life. At the end he gives up his Captain America identity entirely due to his shame at keeping Bucky's parents' death a secret. So Civil War shows Steve at his lowest point. He's lost his shield, his identity as Captain America, and his friendship with Tony is damaged, possibly beyond repair. His next appearance in Infinity War doesn't give too much. In fact, they wanted him to show up very late into the movie, but it basically shows that he's still helping people. And at the end, when Bucky and Sam are among the casualties, Cap is now left with no one from his past or present. He has nothing left but the Avengers.
Oh, God.
He clearly feels guilty about it as he doesn't say anything when Tony lays into him. During the 5-year time skip, Steve is left with nothing, but he keeps on living, trying to do his best in a post-snap world. When Hope finally arrives, Tony and Steve finally patch up their differences, and Steve gets to become Captain America again. It's a moment that was well earned, finally getting to prove that once again that he is worthy of that mantle. In fact, he's grown quite a bit from the uptight guy who wouldn't even take jokes, showing annoyance at his past self.
I can do this all day. Yeah, I know.
But with the advent of time travel being made possible, Steve has shown that, yeah, he can revisit his past. That world is not closed to him now. At the end, when Tony dies making the final sacrifice play, this is the big moment that I think really affected Cap. The thing is, Tony and Steve were both affected by each other. Tony was a selfish, arrogant jerk, but was fun-loving, while Steve was a selfless, compassionate, uptight guy, but they were both changed by each other. Tony sacrificed himself for the greater good, and Cap decided to do, just for this once, something self-serving. That's good character development. It shows that they learned something off each other. They played off each other amazingly. He got to pass the mantle of Captain America on to someone he trusted, and finally, he gave the love of his life that dance he promised her so many years ago. An elegant, earn your happy ending. Hey, did you like the video? Please hit that bell, like, and subscribe button. Thank you!